me share my screen quickly. I'll just take you through our agenda for today. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can see.
Okay, thank you. So the content that we are presenting is so today, as you know, is World Environment Day, June 5th, and I'll first take you through a few slides on the origin of World Environment Day and on one of my favorite topics, which is sustainability. I'll spend a few times on it, and I'm hoping it'll be a more of an interactive session because I'll ask some questions, not too technical questions, just basic questions about what is important to you as people and as citizens of India. And once I'm done, I'm going to pass over the screen to Harshita. Just let me make sure. I'll just try to make sure if I can do the recording. If not, I'll. Day is historically celebrated on June 5th, and it's one of the United Nations principal vehicle for encouraging awareness and action for the protection of the environment. And it's basically a platform for raising awareness on important environmental issues. Earlier on, it was more focused on marine pollution and human overpopulation, global warming, sustainable consumption, wildlife crime, biodiversity. So these are the key topics that this day is focused on. And this day, World Environment Day, is actually an amazing platform, a global platform for public outreach and to involve people from all across the world. And this day is actually celebrated across, or rather, yeah, you could use the word celebrated. Yeah, it's celebrated across 143 countries. Globally, and every year there's a theme for World Environment Day, and this year for 2021 it's ecosystem restoration. So this is just a little bit about World Environment Day. And coming to the focus area, sustainability. So we always hear a lot about sustainability, but sustainability, I think most of you may have a rough idea about what sustainability is, but there are a lot of aspects to it which we need to focus on. And what by sustainability is important for a number of reasons, because without sustainability we cannot sort of meet the needs of the future. And the issue with today is, while while trying to reach development goals, we often neglect the impact that it has on the environment. Hence sustainability is an important topic that sort of reminds us to keep our feet on the ground and to think about the future generations, think about the environment, because we can't continue on the path of development, industrialization, without trying to gauge the impact that it has on the environment. So, three dimensions on sustainability. Then there's economics, there is environment. So, these are the three dimensions of sustainability. And as you can see in this Venn diagram, uh, whenever these three sectors overlap, that's when you attain sustainability. So, what do you mean by economics? So, I'll start with economics because that's one of the simplest things to talk about. What do you mean by economical development? It's mostly related to the growth rate, the profits that you make, how much cost can you save, what kind of research and development you can achieve, and basically about economic efficiency. So that's economics. But what else is there besides the money making part? The next part is society or social cohesion. So society is basically to improve the standard of living of the general population at large, to make sure that there is access to education for each and every citizen, to make sure that there are gainful employment opportunities for every citizen, and of course to attain equal opportunities with respect to gender, race, religion, and whatever your ethnic background may be, or whichever part of the country you're from. So society or social sustainability includes all of that. Then comes environment, which is the big focus area. Environment is to make sure that we protect and preserve our environment. It's to make sure that we use natural resources sustainably. We prevent pollution, or we sort of mitigate pollution as much as we can, and to ensure that we conserve our biodiversity. So these are the three dimensions of sustainability. And whenever these three groups interact, that's when we attain sustainability. As you can see in this Venn diagram, there are parts where you will see that two out of these three groups may overlap. But if you have social and environmental sustainability, if you try, except, I mean, if you're doing something for charity, it's understandable that you might be focusing on the social and environmental causes. But to be very honest, businesses, governments don't really think about sustainability unless it has a positive economic output as well. So we cannot ignore this aspect of sustainability. Similarly, if you have economic and environmental, if you have an overlap between economics and environment, you can't forget the impact it has on society. Maybe you are trying to uh, get more profit by hiring cheap labor, and you're also not using because of the cheap labor, maybe you're not using machinery that may be polluting in nature. But at what cost? At the cost of the cheap labor, human labor that you're hiring. And this is something that we must focus on. So just to again stress on the fact that sustainability can only be attained when you have a holistic interaction between social economics, society economics, and the environment. And I think you can read yourself whenever what is the interaction between economics and environment. For example, it's energy efficiency, renewable fuels, subsidies, incentives, green technology. And between society and economics, it's business ethics, fair trade, workers' benefit. And between social and environment, it's conservation policies, environmental justice, global stewardship. So just keep remembering that sustainability is holistic a holistic confluence of all these three dimensions. And just to ask, does anyone want to does anyone want to share what else could be a part of the social dimension of sustainability? This is more interactive, so I want other people in the audience to speak up. What else do you think?
Is needed to the lifestyle of betterment of the lifestyle of the citizen.
Yes, standard of living. That's true. Standard of living, that comes under that. What else? What else can improve the standard of living? How can you improve the standard of living that comes? And it's actually very relevant in today's day and age in 2021 with what
I
the
think by
country is.
providing them with jobs now with the quality they have, the potential.
Yeah, education and jobs also. That's true. That comes under social aspect. But there's something that has not been mentioned here, but it's very obvious in today's day. That's go on.
Shelter, man.
Sorry.
Shelter.
Yes, shelter. That's true. That's the housing. Yes, that's also an
Yes,
important
yes.
aspect. Housing is also there. Anyone else? Yes, healthcare. That's what I was going for. Healthcare infrastructure, improving the general health infrastructure, decreasing the mortality rate. These are things that come under social the society dimension of sustainability, and that's particularly relevant because of what India is going through today. And that is something that the government, the organizations, and we as citizens must bear in mind. So that's part of social. And what about economics? Is there anything missing here in economics that you think should be added? There's growth, profit, cost, saving, R&D. True, all of these are parameters of economics. Okay, I'll mention that. So what is missing is labor productivity. So it's not that sort of comes between society and economics, but labor productivity is something that we must always keep in mind. It's to make sure that you're not that the productivity at which you operate is high. You can't have many people trying to achieve a set level, but instead if you can try to optimize your work processes, and you can get more productivity. So labor productivity comes into this. And frankly speaking, the real net stock of assets per person. How much money or how much assets do you really have? That's also a part of economics. Again, that's very deep, going deep dive. But let's come into environment. I think for the environment broadly, these are the main parts that sustainably use natural resources. Pollution prevention, that could be greenhouse gas emission mitigation, it could be pollutants in rivers and streams should be cleaned up better. You should try to remove waste from streams, and you should try to make sure that your environment is as much free from pollution as possible, and that includes noise pollution as well, air pollution. Air and water are of course the most obvious forms of pollution, and frankly the impact that it has on the biodiversity, to make sure that the distribution of selected native species. So to make sure that uh, we have a lot of these species, organisms, animals that a lot of them are on the verge of extinction or have already been extinct in the recent couple of years. So our goal is also to make sure that we stop this process of extinction. We preserve whatever biodiversity is left. So does anyone else have any other thoughts that they would like to share here on this slide? Yes, you're right. I completely agree with you. So, activism, environmental activism is a very. Sorry, does anyone else have anything else to say before?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Anamika Trivedi.
Yeah.
I want to make one point. Like every environment, like we insist on planting more and more trees. Instead of like this is one of the aspect, or doing environmental activism or creating awareness is extremely important, because once you plant a tree and then you forget about it. So maintaining our natural resources is much more important than planting something new or doing something. So this is what we must understand. uh, so this aspect has to be taken care of. I mean, we cannot simply tell people just to plant new trees. If they are able to look after it, then they should plant a tree, and this goes for each and everything else too.
I think you've raised a very important point, Anamika, that just by starting new ventures is not the be all end all. We need to make sure that we sustain those ventures. That's a very valid point you've made.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Like we have so many parks, we cannot like keep on. Even Noida Authority is hell bent on making new parks, but what about the maintenance of existing parks? So this is something which should be spread among the society, as it's not only important, more important.
mm, yes, very valid point.
Yeah, I would also like to add, like, we should not overthink, and it should be a basic and simple thing. When we say sustainability is something, like, when people think like it's a different term, what does it mean? It's just a simple thing of what is required. We should utilize only that. We should not overspend. We should not overutilize. Like this quote also from Mahatma Gandhi: "Earth has provided enough to satisfy every man's need, but not everyone's greed." So there's enough for everyone need, and we should focus on need only, not for to fulfill our luxury or greed.
Exactly. And that is the essence of sustainability, which is meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. We may think that, okay, we are using, let's give a small example. I'm okay with using AC throughout the day. We have enough electricity, we have enough oil and fossil fuels to last us for the next 30, 40 years. I'm good. But that is not how we should be thinking. We should think how our grandchildren, how their children, how are they going to survive on the planet? Will they even have clean drinking water? Will they have breathable air? I I don't see mankind making deep advancements in technology that you can think about inhabiting other planets. That's something that a lot of people are contemplating. But do we have what it takes to keep thriving on Earth, for our future generations to thrive on Earth? And what Akash just now said, that Earth, we should try to fulfill our needs and not our greed. And that is not just in terms of electricity, gas. It's also in terms of the clothes you buy. There's something called sustainable fashion, which is doing the rounds these days. Don't spend or overspend, and don't try to get clothes. Sustainable fashion is one such thing. Then there is technology, gadgets. Don't try to get the latest model just because you need to have one, or out of peer pressure. All those things are very relevant. Use only what you need. And with that, I'm going to continue to the next. Sorry, anyone else wants to make a point?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, I feel like whenever, like, everybody talks about the environmentality and economics, so I feel like we should educate the children, because we are talking about the future and all, but what about our children? Those are, neighbors and in the schools and all. So we should take this subject in very special way, that how the environment, the universe is important for us. What happens, like, this is all are interconnected, the economics, sustainability, environment and all. So I feel especially that we should focus more in the schools, like those who are going to the primary and then high school children, because when we'll do that, the children will get to know this is very important part of life that we are missing out. So they will continue with us. Then this time, because of corona, we are getting to know about the fresh air. Earlier we were just taking it like lightly. So if we do that in the schools, awareness, I think that will be a great thing for the environment.
I think you've also made a very valid point. Everyone is making good points. You're right that we need to focus on the future. We need to educate ourselves, but we need to really, really focus on the school children, on the kids, not just, and because they are, however generic it sounds, they are the future. And if they take the steps necessary, they can achieve many more things. And for example, in our generation, I would like to think that people in our generation who have been educated about environment, what is their period or their generation was a little different. Of course, they are also educating themselves and unlearning and learning new things. And this is what we can hope, that I'm pretty sure that the next few generations, they might look back at us, our generation, and tell us that what you did was not environmentally sustainable. And this is how it should be. The future should always be one step ahead of the previous generation. And what Mangesh said is absolutely right. Okay, so another way of representing sustainability is in terms of a more simpler way, people, profit, and planet. Again, when you intersect these three groups, that's where you get sustainability. And I mean, I'm not going to read through everything. I'm just going to tell you that if I have to talk about the planet, just make sure that you take care of Mother Earth. You don't overuse the planet. You use resources in a sustainable way. What happened in India, when India is still a largely agricultural economy, but when you overuse land for agriculture, or when you try to make profit, more profit, I'm not saying you shouldn't. There's a sustainable way to make profits while you're conserving your land. But if you try to overgraze, or if you try to overcultivate, the soil is going to lose its nutrients, and that's going to impact the crops that you get in the next season, and that's going to impact your profit. So all of these fields are interrelated, and if your profits are impacted, the farmers or whoever the landowners are, their sustenance or their standard of life will be impacted. Hence, it's a chain reaction. You don't take care of the environment, sooner or later the profits will be affected. The profits will be affected, and so will your standard of living. And that's what we should be trying to educate people. A lot of people think that I don't really care about the environment as long as I'm getting what I'm making money, or I'm having a good lifestyle. But it's a very short term vision. Our job as environmental activists or paths, we are all from different NGOs, or we all have a great passion for the environment, and it's our responsibility to educate these people and to make sure that people realize that these three aspects are interrelated. Same thing for people. Again, people, you need to take care about people as well. You need to make sure that people are happy. And in a very interesting way to talk about people happiness index or sustainability for people, social sustainability, is to make sure that, let's say you're working in an organization, you should get flexible work hours, you should get opportunities to upskill yourself, and you should try to learn transferable skills so that what you learn in one organization can be implemented elsewhere. And you should have a conducive work environment. This is not just specific to work firms and in general, it's also specific to any clubs you are a part of or any NGOs you are a part of. Um, a lot of us are a part of many NGOs, and Jago Bharat is an NGO dedicated to environmental activism and to sort of inspire citizens to do their bit. So while you are volunteering at Jago Bharat, you should try to learn these skills, and you should have a good environment, a collaborative environment where you can work with other members. So this is also a part of people sustainability. While we are trying to talk about environmental activism, we should also remember that we need to take care of ourselves and our fellow members. So this is just one aspect I wanted to highlight. And if we focus on this, then we will see there's less attrition, there's more people are happy in any organization. So lastly, profit, again, I mean, I don't have to talk about it much because it's very obvious that you need to balance the profit that you want and the impact that it will have on the environment. So this is just one thing that I'd like to mention. As a day in a city using diesel engines that emit black smoke and produce a very distracting sound. Though it makes profits because of its non-stop operation, the smoke it emits surely pollutes the air, while the noise can cause long-term disorders to the residents and of course to the workers present in the plant. Sustainability means balancing the profit and its impact on the surroundings. This is what used to happen in the past as well, when human labor was considered human labor meant cheap labor, when minimum wage was not a requirement. The owners and the people at power, in the position of power, they sort of manipulated the labor, and even though they made profits, it had an adverse impact on the people, and it had an adverse impact on the environment because of the pollution that happened. So let's just remember to keep these three aspects, these three pillars in mind. So I wanted to highlight little ways to be more sustainable every day. So how can you be more sustainable in your daily life? And let's say some of the things that you could probably do is, of course, ditch bottled beverages. This is a very, very important factor. I still see a lot of people consuming bottled beverages. Maybe you can opt for support companies which don't have plastic, which have more use recyclable plastic for packaging. In India, maybe that's not very popular, but you can still think about using other resources. If you're using plastic bottles, maybe reuse it, don't throw it immediately. But there are some other implications also of drinking water or beverages out of plastic, which health concerns which we all know about. Then bring your own bag, bring your own cloth bag, reuse plastic bags if you have plastic bags. Buy in bulk, because studies have revealed that if you buy certain products in bulk, then the packaging, the amount of packaging used overall decreases. So then just dump it. Why don't you use material that can be recycled, or reuse the plastic spoons, or you rather use the normal steel spoons and forks that you have. And coming to the next slide, the first point is actually very interesting. So this picture that you see, it's the stationery kit that I found on Amazon, and I'm planning to buy it myself. So this is sustainable stationery. So what it does is, you can actually, once you're done with the paper, you can crumble the paper and then you can use it. You can actually put it in a pot and you can water it, and it acts as a seed. So these are plantable paper and pencil sets. So there are a lot of interesting things like that. The cost may be a bit more than the normal plastic or the normal non-recyclable, non-plantable stationery that we all see. But I think if more and more people start endorsing products like this, companies will take notice and they'll realize that sustainability is something that is important to the common man and woman, and they'll try to focus on making sustainable products. Similarly, Swiggy and Zomato always have this option. I think before Corona, at least, they had that. Do you want to include plastic spoons and forks? So I'm pretty sure once COVID might settle down, then maybe they'll start to include this message again when people will start asking for extra spoons and forks. You should say no to plastic spoons or forks. You use your own cutlery which is in the house. Don't try to encourage the use of plastic products. Then another thing, don't ask for a customer copy when you pay using your card. Go digital and save paper. So this is something else that you can think about. Don't waste food. And I think most of our moms have always told us while growing up that don't waste food. I think in India, mostly people say khana bhagwan hota hai. Waste in India is about 68.7 million tons a year. Think about the number of people who are without food and water. And when you think about the plate in front of you with some food, and you think about the person, there'll always be some hungry person waiting who would be very happy to eat what you just discarded. So if you are at buffet counters or if you are eating at home, be thoughtful of how much you take on your plate and don't waste. And finally, don't litter. So 8 million metric tons, that's how much plastic we dump into the oceans each year. And that's about 17.6 billion pounds of the, or equivalent of 57,000 blue whales every year. So this is something which is very shocking. And I think in the recent cyclone in Mumbai, what happened was a lot of the waste that was dumped into the Arabian Sea, it came back to the shore. And these public service officials had a hard time to clean it up. Similarly, when I was when I was working in Mumbai, I had once gone to a trek in Sanjay in the Borivali National Park, and you can't imagine, while the scenery is beautiful, all around you see Maggie packets, you see Lace chips packets, you see Britannia biscuit packets. You eat and you throw. You are out there for to enjoy the nature, but then you come out of it by polluting the nature. So this is something that you should keep in mind. Don't do it yourself and tell your friends, family members not to do it and spread this. So this is something that I want to stress on because these are things that every common citizen can do. You don't have to be a righteous environmental activist to do these things. Does anyone have anything else to add on these points or anything new that you think can be implemented by everyone?
Yeah, I would just suggest to have an alternative. Okay, matlab to use more alternative, like to go on to the basic lifestyle that we were earlier living. Like when we go to the sabji market and vegetable, we have our clothes. We should not forget that. Like using the clothing bags for picking up the vegetables, fruits. So these are something basic etiquettes and basic that we are from like that we are using and then we are already doing that for so many years. We should not forget that and we should stick to that only. That's my.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I want to make a point. See, when we are going to the restaurant, I always use my own utensils, even glasses, everything. And though some of them hesitate and they say they have to count cups and all, but I insist on using my cutlery all the time. And even while collecting food also, I just write, if I at all I order from Swiggy, I write a note like no cutlery at all, no tissues at all. So this can also make a difference. And I use like plastic instead of plastic toothbrush, I always use bamboo toothbrushes. So these simple things can also create a lot of difference.
Yes, yeah. Bamboo. I've heard of the bamboo toothbrushes and mats, bamboo mats, bamboo or
Yeah, they are
sustainable
easily
decorate.
available. Yeah, they are. Yeah, even shampoo bars I use, they are easily available. We just have to begin. We will be able to find all the products. There are many sustainable products, environment friendly products. We just need to begin so that once we experience, we will be able to share our experience better with people.
And you are basically influencing your friends, colleagues, families to also try out those sustainable products.
True.
Okay, I'm going to just quickly go through this slide. the 17 Sustainable Development Goals as stated by the United Nations General Assembly. Can people tell me among these 17 goals which goal or maybe two goals are the most important to them? One by one, if you can tell me, or anyone who is open to speaking. You need not give reasoning. You can just tell us which is the most important goal for you. For example, for me, it is affordable and clean energy and gender equality. Goals 7 and 5 are the two most important sustainable development goals for me, personally speaking. I can't see the.
Responsible consumption and production and the zero hunger.
Okay, this is Mangesh, right?
Shutoshi.
Sudarshi, okay. Okay, Sudarshi, thank you.
This is Amant. I would say 1 and 2.
Okay, 1 and 2. Hmm.
To me, good health and well-being and clean water and sanitation is more important.
Okay.
For me, clean water and sanitation,
Yeah.
climate action.
Hmm.
For me, it will be 2nd and 13. Zero hunger and climatic action.
Okay.
Yeah, Mangesh here.
For me, I guess sanitation.
Okay. Yes, Mangesh, you were saying?
Yeah, Mangesh here. For me, the global goals is a 15 life on land. If there is no life, we cannot do anything.
Hmm. Okay. Anyone else?
Me, goal
Sorry, which one?
good health and well-being, point 3, and quality education.
Okay.
We can work on these, else will follow.
Yes. That's true. That's also a very smart way of going about it. And like so by this exercise, we realize that each and every one of us, we have our own preferences, our own priorities. And it's okay to not have. It's okay not to focus on everything. Just do what you're passionate about. Just try to create awareness about the topic or goal that you are passionate about. And when you have a different group of people, when you're working with different group of people passionate about these different things, in the end you'll see that all these 17 goals, sooner or later, they overlap and you try to achieve these goals. So I think as people who are trying to spread awareness, we should always try to encourage people to follow these goals and to work towards achieving these goals, whichever goal is passionate. There's no right wrong goal. There's no one goal that is less important or more important. It's about what we believe in, and if we believe in something, then it makes our job easier, or it makes whatever we do more interesting. So I don't want to take up too much time. Actually, I wanted to discuss some initiatives by the government, but let us not take too much time on this. And I'm going to end with this slide, and I'm going to move over to Harshita because so this slide is the last one, which is a shift to renewable resources and protect health of ecosystems, avoid excess pollution, target welfare, not GDP, and intergenerational decisions. So these are the key aspects of environmental sustainability, and I don't think I need to educate anyone about their relevance. So thank you, and with this I end my time, and I'm going to quickly switch over to Mr. Trashwheel and Harshita. You can please start.
Yes, ma'am. So, firstly, very good evening, everyone, and a very happy Environmental Day from my side. So, I'm going to tell you about a waste management system technology, which is Mr. Trashfield. If anyone have any point on this and anyone want to ask any question, then just let me complete and then you can ask. So, what is Mr. Trashfield? You can see on the picture, there's a picture of Mr. Trashfield. Can you change the slide? Yeah. So you can see the picture of Mr. Trashfield here. It's a pair of floating solar and hydro-powered trash interceptor, keeping Baltimore's water clean. It was invented by Mr. John Callet in 2008 as a pilot vessel, but then he relaunched his machine and in 2014 as Mr. Trash Wheel. And these frankly adorable trash wheels can collect as much as 38,000 pounds of debris in a single day. Means it's like a waste management technology which collects more than 38,000 pounds of debris in only a single day and collect a huge round of debris. So moving further, why Mr. John Kelly inspired from, or why he need for this invention. Mr. John Callet was the former director of Baltimore's Maritime Museum. So he used to cross a footbridge over Johns Falls every day on his way to work. And the situation of the river was like very trying. There was a river of trash flowing down. And he had spent 20 years working on the harbor, primarily in the environmental education and shipbuilding, and had a deep knowledge of its hydrodynamics and history. And Callet was very disappointed with the situation of harbor, and he wanted to do something to resolve this issue. Basically, we can see this situation in India also. As Vedi ma'am told, जो भी लास्ट साइक्लोन आया था मुंबई में एंड ओशन का जो भी गार्बेज था, जो भी ट्रैश था, वो ओशन ने सिटी में ही पुश कर दिया था. तो सेम सिचुएशन हम कहीं भी देख सकते हैं इन रिवर्स. वो भले इवन इट्स इन इंडिया के अंदर ये सिचुएशन हमें ज्यादा देखने को मिलेगी. सेम सिचुएशन वाज देयर आल्सो एंड मिस्टर जॉन कैलेट टेकन दिस स्टेप to just resolve this issue. Then John Callet was open to ideas, so he started sketching. He drew plans for a machine powered by an old-fashioned water wheel designed to intercept the trash at the mouth of Johns Falls. This is the main source of harbor pollution. So at first, he invented pilot vessel in 2008, but the trash amount was so huge that the pilot vessel was not capable to catch all the trash. So John Callet reinvented this machine and launched it as Mr. Trash Wheel in 2014. And Lindquist organization helped him to fund and implement. And that's how Mr. John Callet got the inspiration to invent such kind of machine. So moving further, like you can see on the picture, he is Mr. John Callet who invented this machine. And I have a video on him that how Mr. John Callet.
Do you see the video? I've paused it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Can you hear now?
no. Whether you are
Do you hear it now?
Sorry for the inconvenience, guys. So I'll show you later on about this video. So firstly, like how it started. I want to tell you about the journey of Mr. Trash Wheel. Am I audible?
Yes,
Sachin.
yes, no doubt.
Okay. It's not about the invention, but it's about the journey of Mr. Trash Wheel. Like John Callet built a pilot vessel in 2008, as I told earlier, but that was not capable to catch all the trash present in harbor. Then after this, Callet built a larger machine, named Mr. Trash Wheel, that was launched in May 2014, which was able to pick up larger matter and held 2 dumpsters on board. On 20th of April 2015, after the first significant rainstorm of the season, Mr. Trash Wheel removed 19 tons of garbage from Baltimore's waterfront on that one day. And that was a huge amount of trash for the interceptor at that time. And the previous record of the debris removal occurred on 16th of May 2014, when the machine removed 11 tons of refuse on that one day. At the end of the third quarter in 2016, it was noted that Mr. Trash Wheel had collected over 10 lakh pounds of trash since its inception. And you can see the data on the screen also. And the data, or you can say this collection of garbage is still going on and is still increasing the number. That you can see on the screen, here are the components of Mr. Trash wheel, which I'm going to tell you about one by one. So firstly, you can see this on this basically funnels the trash, or we can say all the trash comes with the flow of river gets stopped with these booms. So as I told you, it seems like a border, or you can see it's like a funnel. Thus, the second component is the racking system here, which help to move trash and debris to the front of the conveyor belt. And the third, this is the third component here, which is the conveyor belt, which lift the trash from one point to the end point. And the fourth component here, it is the it is the cell fabric by which the Mr. Trash wheel get protected and can easily work in the wind between the rain, or can protect it with the wind also, and can easily do their work. The fifth component here is the trash wheel, is the water wheel, which generated current from the river water to turn the conveyor belt. Means it creates the energy by which this conveyor belt and the rack system can work. The sixth component here is the dumpster part, which collect all the trash captured by the trash wheel. And the last component is the solar panel, which give an additional current to turn the conveyor belt. So basically, these are the components, and you can also get the idea that how Mr. Trash will work. So moving further, how it works, that's the question. As I told you, it works with the natural resources and works on all renewable energy. The water wheel is it's the engine, and it gets power from two sources. When the river is flowing, the current turns the wheel and provides mechanical power, which pushes and lifts the trash out of the water and into a dumpster. But a lot of time, the power of the river isn't enough. So they supplement it with the solar and the solar panel. Now, using the power of nature to clean
Sorry,
the ocean.
Harshita,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
stop you. Which slide are you talking about? I mean, when we're
I
talking
think,
about the different
yes, ma'am. I
components.
think I should continue with the slide number 7.
Okay. Okay.
So, can I start?
Yeah, please go on.
So, all of you guys, now can you see the screen? Here are the components of Mr. Trash wheel by which Mr. Trash wheel builds and collect all the trash. And the first component is the containment booms here, which act like a border, or you can say it act like a funnel, where it just stand with the opposite direction of river, and when the trash comes around with the direction of river, it just stop the trash there. So, which basically funnel the trash, or we can say the trash comes with the flow of river get stopped with these booms. The second component here is the racking system, which help to move trash and debris to the front of the conveyor belt. So basically, it works like a tongue here. Now the third component here is the conveyor belt, which lifts the trash from one point to the end point. Fourth component is the water. Is the cell fabric cover, which protects the water wheel from wind and rain, so that Mr. Trash wheel can easily continue its work. And the next component is the water wheel, which generates current from the river water to turn the conveyor belt. And the other component is the dumpster, which collects all the trash captured by Mr. Trash wheel. And the last component here is the solar panel, which gives an additional current to turn to the conveyor belt, so that the work of Mr. Trash wheel cannot get the stop. And so moving on to the further slide, now how it works. What is the working process of Mr. Trash wheel? Ma'am, can you please change the slide?
Yes, I'm on slide 8, Harshita. Maybe it like you.
Okay. So as I told you, it works with natural resources, and it works on all renewable energy. The water wheel is its engine and it gets its power from two sources. When the river is flowing, the current turns the wheel and provides mechanical power which pushes and lifts the trash out of the water and into a dumpster. But we can say it's a lot of time the power of the river isn't enough. So they supplement with solar powered electric pumps. So that's how Mr. Trash Wheel can work there. So where here we can see a line using the power of nature to clean the ocean. What does it mean? Or we are going to understand that how we use the power of nature to clean the ocean. I have a few points to justify this line. Firstly, Mr. Trash Wheel is a semi-autonomous machine which works by itself. It means it doesn't require any human to just continue its work. In spite of floating around ocean, it will stand in one place and eat all the trash which comes with the flow of river. We can say that in Indian say that वो खुद खाने तक नहीं जाता, खाना खुद Mr. Trash Wheel के पास आता है. So same condition is with Mr. Wheel. And Mr. Wheel use a unique blend of solar and hydropower. Means it doesn't require any human made power. But the last point is that it doesn't require any human power to oversee. It's an automated machine which works on solar and hydropower and works by itself only. Means like any. So moving on further. Now we'll understand the working process of Mr. Trash Wheel step by step. That how Mr. Trash Wheel works in steps also. First step is to funnel the trash. Funnel the trash. In this step, all the trash comes with the flow of river is absorbed by these containment booms. So basically these containment booms work like funnel or by which water is passed away from this and all the trash is stuck in the funnel. I'll show you the video later. You can see in this that जो भी वाटर होता है वो कंटेनमेंट बूम्स के थ्रू पास आउट हो जाता है एंड जो भी ट्रैश बचता है वो एज अ बॉर्डर वो वहीं पे रुक जाता है. प्लस यहाँ पे फन फैक्ट क्या आता है लाइक जो भी ऑयल है वो इन कंटेनमेंट बूम्स के थ्रू वहीं बच जाता है एंड वाटर को पॉल्यूट होने से रोकता है. मीन्स इट्स ऑल्सो कैपेबल टू स्टॉप ऑयल स्लिक फ्रॉम पॉल्यूटिंग द वाटर. Second step here is the rake and convey. In this step, rake plays a role like the role of tongue in the body and the conveyor belt like the food canal. So what's the meaning of this? That a rake put the trash in the mouth of trash wheel as tongue does in human body and conveyor belt carry all the trash from one point to another. So as food canal carry the food from our mouth to the stomach. So as I told you earlier also that Mr. Trash will just work like a human body. So जो इसका racking system है it's behave like a tongue and the conveyor belt just behave like the food canal. So जो भी trash है वो इसका step by step धीरे धीरे करके one point से second point तक और इन point तक पहुंच जाता है. Now the third step is seal the churn. Water wheel is the engine that provides power to rakes and conveyor belts, and when there's not enough water current, solar panel power pumps that pumps water on the wheel to keep it churning and keep the process going on, so that it doesn't get a lack of energy or lack of current, and the working process is not get stopped by any lack of energy here. And the step 4, the last step is into the dumpster. That's the last step in the process of the trash wheel. And when trash reaches to the top of the conveyor belt, it falls into a dumpster sitting on a separate floating barge. As in the body, food travels through the canal and falls into stomach. Same process we can see in trash wheel. The conveyor belt acts like the canal and dumpster is like the stomach. When the dumpster fills, it's towed away and replaced by the empty dumpster. Means जो भी conveyor belt के through one point से लेके इन point तक जो भी trash पहुंचता है वो at last dumpster में पहुंच जाता है. Like the food canal के through हमारा जो भी eatable food है वो at last आके stomach में पहुंचता है. And जैसे ही वो full हो जाता है उसको हटा के एक वहाँ पे दूसरा dumpster लगा दिया जाता है. So that's the process of Mr. Trash Wheel. Here are on the next slide, you can see some highlights of Mr. Trash Wheel, which became popular and gained attraction. Like it's a 50-foot long machine weighing nearly 100,000 pounds, and that resembles a friendly mollusk with giant googly eyes and its own Twitter account with more than 21K followers. Basically, Mr. Trashwheel is very active in Twitter also. It daily updates a new fact or a new update about Mr. Trashwheel or about the environment. It's also celebrated. Trashwheel, it's a part of waterfront partnership of Baltimore's Healthy Harbor Plan, which has a goal to clean up the harbor to point of making it swimmable by the year of 2020. So till the 2020, जो harbor का water है वो swimmable बन सके. Like from that you can see that 2014 से 2020 तक they make such a long plan so that हार्बर का जो भी वाटर है वो इतना क्लीन हो सके कि हम उसमें स्विम कर सकें. That's how you can take the idea like वो जो वाटर है वो कितना पॉल्यूट होगा. सेम वी कैन सी दिस सिचुएशन इन इंडिया ऑल्सो कि हमारी जो इंडिया की जितनी भी रिवर्स है, यू कैन टेक एनी एग्जाम्पल ऑफ एनी रिवर इन इंडिया. इसमें भी गंगा, इसमें भी यमुना, जो भी पॉल्यूशन है वो कहीं ना कहीं हम लोगों के वजह से वहां तक होता है. एंड मील्स के थ्रू निकलने वाला गार्बेज एंड रोड्स के अराउंड इकट्ठा होने वाला जो गार्बेज है वो कहीं ना कहीं एट द इन रिवर में पहुंचता है एंड रिवर के थ्रू वो ओशन में पहुंचता है. तो वी नीड टू कंट्रोल दिस. हमें कहीं ना कहीं इसके बारे में अवेयरनेस जगानी चाहिए, उस चीज को कम करने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए. एज वैदई मैम टोल्ड अर्लियर कि दैट्स जस्ट आवर जॉब टू डू इट एंड जस्ट आवर जॉब टू स्प्रेड द अवेयरनेस. Anyone want to say something on this?
And I'm also showing a slide on the different of the Mr. Trashwheel family. So this is Mr. Trashwheel, which Harshita spoke about. But there's also Professor Trash, who has been installed in Masonville. And there's Gwenda, the good wheel of the West. And she's coming soon. So there are a lot of them. Any questions that anyone has?
Yeah. They are basically four Trashwheel after the successful installation of Mr. Trashwheel. He installed Professor Trashwheel and Captain Trashwheel. Then Gwanda, the good wheel of the West, is now coming soon, not installed yet. But yeah, he is planning to install it right now or in this particular time. So I get the update also from the Gwanda, the good wheel of the West, that it's going to be installed very soon or in this month only.
Yeah, I have one question. Like, has it been implemented or installed in India? Any cities?
No, sir. It's not. There is no news of installation of such kind of machine in India. Government raised many स्वच्छ भारत अभियान और जय गंगे नाम का जो भी प्रोजेक्ट गवर्नमेंट के थ्रू चलाए गए, उसमें से ऐसा कोई प्रोजेक्ट नहीं है जो कि खुद नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज पे काम कर सके.
Okay. And Yashita, I just want to ask, like, from you and Vidya, all of you, is this, what do you think, in your opinion, is this a good solution? Like, will it be a solution should cover all the aspects, our aim, impact that we are trying to look and we're trying to achieve, but is it costly और ये जो जितनी cost होगी, क्या ये sustainable solution हम हर जगह पे जो बड़ी समुद्र है जहाँ पर कचरा होता है तो ये implement हो सकता है या नहीं? आपकी क्या राय है आप सबकी?
I think we can try about it because the government every year कहीं ना कहीं fund raise environmental factor, like you can say that मोदी जी ने एक प्रोजेक्ट चलाया था गंगा रिवर को क्लीन करने के लिए. So I don't think that इतना बड़ा ह्यूज अमाउंट में जो भी ट्रैश कलेक्ट फंड कलेक्ट होता है उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हमें कहीं देखने को मिलता है. तो एटलीस्ट अगर इस सच काइंड ऑफ मशीन अगर हम इंडिया के अंदर लाते हैं या फिर कहीं इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं, देयर आर वेरियस फाउंडेशन इन इंडिया जो आ सकती हैं, आगे बढ़ सकती हैं क्लियर करने के लिए, रिवर्स को क्लीन करने के लिए और एनवायरमेंट को बचाने के लिए.
Okay.
I just like to add on to the point that it is a little cost prohibitive, but whenever there's any new technology, they are in general cost prohibitive. So if we want to, I think the way to reduce the cost of any new technology or solution is to make sure that if it is used or if it is manufactured in greater numbers, because the company can achieve economies of scale, the cost of the technology can possibly go down. But since Mr. Trashwheel is still in its nascent stage, where only a few instances of it have been installed in Baltimore itself, that's why the cost is still prohibitive. But there is some potential, and if the cost, if it is manufactured in greater numbers and if it is manufactured in a country like India where certain raw materials and manufacturing processes are slightly more cheaper, then it is possible to use it, because at the end of the day it is using solar energy and wind energy and it is harnessing hydropower also. Anyone else has any questions? I'll just stop sharing my screen. Okay. If no one else, if anyone else has any comments, please share. Otherwise, we can also end the call. Apologies for the delay in the webinar time, end time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say the same thing only, sir. Like, it was a nice presentation. It was a good thing we did for today's day, especially today's World Environment Day. So I think it was a very good webinar we had today. Great job.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Then thank you for your time, and it means a lot. I see that there are more people on the call now, so I don't know. Maybe Akash, can you say, should we take another screenshot with everyone's picture, or is the previous one fine with fewer people?